The global struggle for technological and military supremacy is increasingly being fought over a group of 17 obscure metals known as rare earth elements (REs). For decades, China has methodically built a near-total monopoly over the entire resupply chain, controlling not just the mining but the critical processing and magnet manufacturing stages. This dominance has given Beijing significant geopolitical leverage, which it has recently begun to exercise through export controls, threatening the production of everything from American F-35 fighter jets to electric vehicles. In a dramatic and decisive response, the US government has initiated a high-stakes push to rebuild its domestic capabilities from the ground up. The cornerstone of this new strategy is the Pentagon's $400 million investment in American miner MP Materials, a move that makes the Department of Defense the company's largest shareholder. This public-private partnership aims to create a secure, end-to-end mine-to-magnet supply chain on US soil by 2027. However, this ambitious goal faces formidable obstacles, including bridging a significant technology gap in midstream processing, navigating stringent environmental regulations for a highly polluting industry, and countering China's proven ability to manipulate global prices to crush competition. The success of this venture will depend not only on massive investment, but also on sustained political will and the willingness to confront the difficult environmental trade-offs that were previously offshored. The high-stakes war over dirt. What do your iPhone, a Tesla, and this billion-dollar fighter jet have in common? They are all completely dependent on a handful of metals you've probably never heard of. They're called rare earth elements, and they are the secret sauce of the 21st century. And for the last 30 years, one country has controlled almost all of it. Back in 1992, Chinese leader Deng Xiaoping famously declared, "The Middle East has its oil, China has rare earths." He wasn't kidding. Today, China doesn't just mine this stuff, it controls over 90% of the complex processing that turns this special dirt into the supermagnets that power our world. And now, Beijing is starting to turn off the tap. They're using their monopoly as a weapon in the trade war, threatening to cripple Western defense and tech industries. But it seems Washington has finally woken up. The Pentagon just dropped a cool $400 million to become the largest shareholder in America's biggest rare earth miner, MP Materials. This isn't just a business deal. This is America declaring it's getting back in the game. The question is, can they even win? America's great strategic blunder here is the crazy part. America used to be the king of rare earths. The technology that China uses today, that complex chemical process called solvent extraction, it was developed right here in the USA in the 1960s. So what on earth happened? Well, two things, cost and a dirty secret. This is the secret. Rare earth mining is an environmental nightmare. It's a highly pollutive and sometimes radioactive process. To get just 1 ton of rare earths, you can produce up to 2,000 tons of toxic waste. This waste is laced with carcinogens and radioactive elements like thorium and uranium. For decades, China was willing to pay the environmental price, adopting a develop first, clean up later approach. With lax regulations, they could produce rare earths far cheaper than anyone in the West. So, America and Europe did what they do best, they outsourced the problem. They offshored their pollution and their strategic vulnerability, all for cheaper electronics. The absurdity, for years, the US mined ore in California, then shipped it to China for processing. It was the perfect deal. We got the shiny gadgets, and they got the toxic lakes and radioactive dust. What could possibly go wrong? Well, this is what went wrong. China didn't just become the world's factory, it became the world's only hardware store for the materials of the future. And once you're the only store in town, you get to set the rules. Global rare earth processing, China 90 global high-performance magnets, China 90% plus. In the last year, Beijing has restricted exports of key materials like gallium, germanium, and now, the heavy rare earths that are essential for defense applications. This wasn't a warning shot, this was the first volley in a new kind of war. Suddenly, the Pentagon realized that its most advanced weapons, from the F-35 to Virginia-class submarines, which need over 9,000 pounds of this stuff, were utterly dependent on a strategic rival. And that brings us back to this $400 million deal with MP Materials. This is the panic button being pressed. The US government is now stepping in to create a market from scratch. Let's break down of the MP Materials deal. Investment, 400M, making the Pentagon the largest shareholder. Goal, a full mine-to-magnet supply chain by 2027. Guarantees. The government will guarantee a minimum price for MP's products and buy 100% of the magnets from a new factory for 10 years. Let me translate this for you. The government is telling the company, don't worry about China crashing the price. We've got your back. Just build the factory. This is a massive, almost unprecedented level of industrial policy designed to fight what MP's CEO calls Chinese mercantilism. So, money is flowing. Problem solved, right? Not so fast. As some of you have pointed out in the comments, there are a lot of IFS. David Agile, the CEO of another American rare earth company, Realloys, says the US can solve this by 2028, but the hurdles are enormous. Hurdle 1, the missing midstream. It's one thing to dig ore out of the ground. It's another thing entirely to do this. This is the midstream, the incredibly complex, multi-stage chemical process to separate 17 different elements that are all chemically similar to each other. This is where the real magic and the real value is. And America has basically forgotten how to do it at scale. We have a massive gap in technology, investment, and even skilled workers. Hurdle 2, not in my backyard. Remember why we offshored this in the first place? Because it's filthy work. Now, the US has to build these processing plants and radioactive waste facilities at home under some of the strictest environmental laws in the world. As one commenter put it, which communities will suffer? That is the billion-dollar question. Getting a permit for a new mine in the US can take a decade or more. China builds one in a fraction of that time. Hurdle 3, the economic kill switch. And here's the final boss. Let's say the US spends billions, navigates the environmental minefield, and finally starts producing. What's to stop China from simply opening the floodgates and crashing the global price, bankrupting the new American industry? They've done it before. It's what killed the original Mountain Pass mine. The Pentagon's price guarantee for MP materials is a shield against this, but it's a shield for one company. Can the US taxpayer afford to subsidize an entire industry indefinitely? This is a direct clash of economic systems, American free markets, turbocharged with government cash, versus China's state-controlled industrial machine. So where does this leave us? For years, the West preached free trade while China played a long game of strategic acquisition. Now, the bill has come due. But let's be clear, this is a monumental task. It's a race against time that involves reinventing technology, accepting painful environmental trade-offs, and finding a level of political unity and long-term commitment that is, frankly, rare in Washington. The United States is spending billions to relearn how to play in the dirt because it finally understands that this dirt is the foundation of modern power. The scramble for rare earths isn't just about trade deficits or supply chains. It's about who writes the rules for the 21st century. The race is on.